Welcome to Winnipeg and our final Wendy's Friday night football evening of the season. We're in a little darkness here. There's a power outage and the bank of lights on the far side of the field from our location here, the east side.
You throw it into the shadow?
No, not at all. In fact, I've been in that situation before at Taylor Field. In 1992, Cal Murphy was the head coach. Just a week before he went in for his heart transplant. I'm on the football field. It is right before halftime. The lights go out. I'm through for the night. I'm in the locker room, showered, sitting there on the training table. Couple of cool ones. No. Couple of OJs, and I was good. And this situation, Chris, where, hey, I didn't want to play more, but it was preseason. These guys, they want to get it on. They want to get things going for the playoffs.
Actually, that's a really good point, because look at it this way. Half the lights are out, so it's even for both football teams, right? So it changes your approach to football, because you play a little bit more towards the lighted field. So maybe that changes your approach to defense. You kind of overshift towards that side of the field. But if this situation doesn't get kind of changed within the next few minutes, go ahead and play the game. What the heck? Only in the CFL would you find a situation like that. And I think it's unique. Let's go.
All right. They say they got it going. All right, John, Glenn, shed some light on this for us, would you please?
Well, a bit of a spooky night here at Winnipeg Stadium. Half the lights are out. And close-ups are going to be a little difficult to get, although we can see Troy Westwood down there getting ready to kick it off for the Bombers.
You see one entire bank of lights in the stadium here are out. There was a power outage. They talked about maybe going back to the locker room for 10 minutes. Then both coaches discussed it and said, no, let's go ahead and play, even though that whole side of the field is a little bit dark.
We're going to get some extra pay here. Back here we go.
And the combatants here. Critical game for the Stampeders to stay alive in the run for a playoff spot. And an error for the Blue Bombers on the opening kickoff. With it going out of bounds will give Calgary excellent field position for which to begin.
Calvin Anderson was over there looking for that ball to go out of bounds because Andre Arlene was very close to touching it. If he touches it, the Bombers have possession. But Calgary will get the ball.
Jeff, it looks a little dark over there on the east side, doesn't it?
Marcus Crandall.
Look at the Gordie Howe Bowl in Saskatoon. You know,
Winnipeg #7.
Last week, or at least last Sunday, against the BC Lions, throwing 4 interceptions.
well, they say they have
So it's really all on his shoulders tonight.
Yeah, it was interesting that he hadn't thrown an interception 3 games previous to last week, and then threw 4 versus the Lions. A lot of those plays made by the BC Lions. Defensive effort.
So the Stampeders begin at the 45-yard line. Nice fake by Crandall. Looking deep and a little too deep for Aubrey Cummings. So Crandall needs big games from his 2 inside receivers. Bo Richter and Danielson. Running back Kelvin Anderson has one last chance to win the CFL rushing derby. He'll need a great game from the Stampeders' veteran offensive line, centered by Jamie Crysdale. 2nd and 10, Stampeders at the 45. Shotgun for Crandall. Just got it away, but he's on the money for Kelvin Anderson. Turns the corner and turns it into a first down. 17 yards for Anderson. So things have started well for the Stampeders.
You know, one thing that could become a factor in this game is that this field here in Winnipeg is slick, and Kelvin Anderson catches his football in the flat and really tiptoes his way back down to get his balance, and then he turns that corner, picks up the first down. But a lot of the players here were out testing a whole bunch of different types of shoes to see what would work best on this slick field.
So on first down, Crandall has time. And he's on the money, out near the 45, well short of the first down. Bo Richter made the catch.
Front seven for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively lead the league against the run. Antonio Armstrong moves to the middle after Rylan Wickman was injured against the BC Lions. Doug Brown having a tremendous season. And in the secondary, Jerome Bolden leads the CFL with interceptions. He has 6 on the year.
Starting lineups brought to you by Midas. Keep a good thing going. Go Midas.
Doug Brown. Gene Gaines on the left, Rick Warman on the right in the booth, and Gaines calling the defensive plays.
This is 2nd and 12, Stampeders. Crandall got rid of it in a hurry. Peterson made the catch. He'll be short of the first down. With a 9-yard gain, he needed to pick up 12.
You know, on the other side, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers obviously concerned about the injury factor. They've got first place in the East locked up. Their next very important game a couple weeks from now, and you know it's tough situation they've been in now for 3 weeks. That is to play hard, play aggressively, and try not to get hurt.
Bombers will host the Eastern Division Final here in Winnipeg on November 18th, and they've known about that for some time. McLaughlin has it spotted at the 29, and he's got the first 3 of the ball game. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football live. McLaughlin ready to kick it off for Calgary after the Stampeders field goal. Charles Roberts has problems near the 22, and there's nowhere to go for Roberts there. Winnipeg's Kahari Jones gets one more prep game for the Eastern Final. Last week in Toronto, Jones and the Bombers fell flat. Still no Milt Stegall, so Robert Gordon is the key to the Winnipeg passing game. Eric Blunt starts at running back. Up front, University of Manitoba star Matt Sheridan gets his first ever start. He begins at left tackle.
Kahari Jones played just 1 quarter last week versus Toronto, but in that quarter he just threw for 44%. 4 of 9. Wasn't a good quarter for Kahari. Needs to get that rust off him.
Eric Blunt, and there's nowhere for Blunt to run as he's wrapped up by Fleming and Cotton.
Well, Joe Fleming has been the leader on the defensive line with 10 sacks on the season. Alondra Johnson has given this team the pep talk for this game. He's the veteran in the middle. The secondary needs to come up with some big plays if the Calgary Stampeders want to win this one. Only 12 interceptions on the season. That's dead last in the CFL.
Joe Fleming is an ex-Winnipeg Blue Bomber. He left Winnipeg 2 years ago when the Bombers were in the midst of a struggle like the Stampeders are in this season. 2nd and 11. Kahari Jones got it away. Short of the first down, far side. Robert Gordon made the catch.
Joe Fleming made a nice move to get to Kahari Jones, but he got there just a split second too late. He must have been on the field probably 4 or 5 hours before game time, getting ready for this one. He knows the importance of this game for the Calgary Stampeders, and watch 76 with a nice swim move right around his teammate Alondra Johnson, Mike Sutherland, and he was right there in front of Kahari Jones, who just got it off.
3rd down and a yard to go for the Blue Bombers at the 30-yard line. And Bob Cameron is in.
Be tough to catch punts with that side of the field dark. You can see Antonio Warren is kind of trying to find that football.
Good night to kick it high, I think. This is Loud, and there's not much running room for him. A penalty marker is down. A 1-yard return after a 34-yard punt.
No yards. Winnipeg number 50. First down.
That's Steve Glenn, special teams player who got caught for the infraction. As a result, the Stampeders are out to begin this drive at the Winnipeg 50. Again, half the lights are out in Winnipeg tonight, or at least inside the stadium. So that's why the pictures are a little dark.
I told you you shouldn't have plugged in your hair dryer. You blew a fuse.
Crandall has had a good start. Bolden got a hand on that one. Danielson was the intended receiver.
Well, again, Marcus Crandall, though, going down the field with the football. That's 3 of his last 5 plays. He's tried to go deep with it. Now, he hasn't connected. But what that should do is loosen up that secondary for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In other words, they'll start backing up a little bit more. And what Crandall's hoping is that'll open up the short patterns for him.
Aubrey Cummings to the near side. For 2nd and 10, Calgary. Just inside the Bomber 50. Crandall shotgun again. Here's the charge. He won't get it away.
Yeah, Doug Brown. Doug Brown was there. A little stunt from the Winnipeg defensive line.
I think Wayne Weathers will get credit for the sack.
Yeah, they were both up in there, but you could see the stunt up front. What they're going to try and do is do a little loop here. Little stunt from Doug Brown. He gets around and he's free. Now he has to try and put on the brakes with a tough footing here in Winnipeg.
You're right. The assist goes to Brown because he drove him right back to Weathers.
There's the nice move right up in the middle. That's the stunt. But you see how Brown had trouble stopping, putting the brakes on. It's a slick field here in Winnipeg, and he's got that bad ankle.
Well, Manny is in for his first punt. At the 40, the charge was on. He got it away. No flags. This one scoots by Roberts. But he's got a head of steam now. Charles Roberts has been brilliant. Cut by the bootstraps. Aldi Henry made the tackle. He leads the Stampeders in special teams tackles. Stamps on top of the Bombers. It's 3-0 in Winnipeg. Looking back to Winnipeg, Willie Fells felt the last play, didn't he?
Yeah, Jeff Drover on a... He's coming down the field. And Jeff Drover, number 8, you're going to see a great block to spring Charles Roberts right there on Willie Fells. The ear hole from Jeff Drover. Charles Roberts to the outside gave Winnipeg pretty good field position.
Yeah, out at the 30, it was a deep kick, so the Bombers have a 1st and 10 from there. Nice play action fake by Kahari Jones. He looks deep. Stoddard the target. Does he come down with it? No. Coverage was too tight.
It looked like Ricky Bell was over there, and along with William Fields, and Fields fell off his coverage on the outside. He's right over to the left of your screen right there. He fell off his man and went up for the football. But that's what Wally Buono was talking about yesterday to us. He said 54 knockdowns by the secondary this year. 27 of those were dropped interceptions, and William Fields really should have caught that football.
Yeah, what a difference that would make. The Stampeders have only intercepted 12. Kahari Jones has Wade Miller, and Miller slipped. There's the turf acting up again.
Well, that is, I mean, that is the key. I mean, you know, when you look at that giveaway takeaway category, the Calgary Stampeders in the past have always been in the plus side of it. You know, and this year they're certainly not, and that's a key for them. They need that secondary to come up with some interceptions. Those interceptions, the fumble recovery, the big interception, sometimes you take it for lots of yards. Those are the difference makers in football games, and that's why the Calgary Stampeders haven't had as much success this year as they've had in the past. They haven't had those big plays.
Antonio Warren deep for Calgary, and look at the Bombers standings at 14-3. They lead the league in the giveaway takeaway category.
Absolutely.
Not a good kick for Bob Cameron. Shanked that one. Taken by Loud. Penalty markers down. And he lost yardage on the return. A loss of 5, a 27-yard punt for Bob Cameron. Wendy's Friday Night Football live from Winnipeg. Stampeders lead the Blue Bombers 3-0, and the sidelines down there in the dark. Here's Greg Musselman.
Okay, thanks, John Wells. Milt Stegall, Bombers slot back, leading the CFL in touchdown catches. You're not out there tonight. How is the knee right now, Milt?
I mean, the knee is good. I definitely could have played tonight, but everybody decided it was best that I sit this game out and wait for that Eastern Conference Finals. I'm not saying it's not a vital game for us, but, I mean, we just all decided, myself, Coach Ritchie, and our trainer, Jeff Fisher, decided that was best that I sit out this game.
So there's no question if this was the playoffs, Milt Stegall would be out there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If it was all up to me, I'd be out there. But, you know, it's not all up to me. I'm trying to do what's best for the team, and they thought it was best I sit out, but I'll definitely be back for the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, good luck to you. Thanks, Milt.
Thanks a lot.
John?
Milt Stegall, 1,214 yards, 14 touchdowns on this wonderful year for Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And a great decision to keep him on the sideline, I might add. I mean, why risk it in a game that doesn't mean really a whole lot to Winnipeg?
On 2nd and 7, one-handed catch far side. How about that? Danielson brings it down, and a huge play for the Calgary Stampeders to move the sticks.
The veteran Vince Danielson missed 5 games this year due to injury. Has just over 500 yards coming into this game. Their last of the regular season, but what a one-handed catch he makes here for Marcus Crandall, who throws the football a little bit behind Danielson. He has to reach back with the right hand and pull it in, and does.
Donaldson over to make the tackle. 13 yards to gain. First down, Calgary. Crandall with time. Swings it out far side for Kelvin Anderson. And he's rolled out by Antonio Armstrong. Crandall has looked sharp in the opening moments of this one. Engineered one drive that netted Calgary the only points of the ball game, the field goal by Mark McLaughlin.
Kelvin Anderson has 7 games rushing over 100 yards this season. Calgary Stampeder record. One of those games in week 1 versus the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense, and they haven't given up many 100-yard games defensively.
Second down. A little better than 5 to go. Anderson can't get away. He's wrapped up at the 35-yard line. So this Stampeder drive will end right there.
Antonio Armstrong closes in a hurry. He's dropping in his own defense, and when he does, he just flies to the football to the outside and makes a big tackle. It's a nice luxury to have Antonio Armstrong in the lineup. He was playing defensive line when he arrived back from his NFL tryout, but when Ryland Wickman went down in BC a couple of weeks ago, they moved Antonio Armstrong back there and put Seppo O'Reilly in the lineup.
Mark McLaughlin made his first from 29. This will be spotted on the 42. He's 2 for 2. McLaughlin had a little problem, missed a couple last week, but he's on the money here tonight. Romantic. When you look around at this almost candlelit stadium.
You're scaring me now.
This guy can fly. It's Charles Roberts again. 22 on that return. And here's what the Bombers have to do to win this one tonight.
Well, whether they win or lose, it's really irrelevant for Winnipeg in the standings. They have first place, so I think the key for them tonight is to keep their franchise player on his feet and healthy for the entire game, and that puts the pressure squarely on that offensive line. They have to keep Kahari Jones on his feet because they certainly can't lose their star quarterback going into the playoffs.
Jones and the Bombers begin at the 37 with a first down. Nice play action fake. He's got Eric Blunt sliding out of the backfield. Nice little tightrope down the sideline there, and he'll be about a yard shy of the first down. Maybe a yard and a half.
Well, Eric Blunt and Charles Roberts will see the football from the backfield here tonight, and you know, this is a Calgary defense that really has to pick up their game against the run. That was a short little pass out there to Eric Blunt, but with Blunt and Charles Roberts running the football tonight, it's up to Joe Fleming and that front 7 led by Alondra Johnson to stop the run. In the last 3 games, they've given up over 150 yards a game. Calgary Stampeders along the ground.
Yeah, and Roberts is in that Bomber backfield now along with Blunt.
And that's what they need to do.
Well, not quite like that play was executed. Roberts got the call, and he was fired right back by Ray Jacobs.
Ray Jacobs slid into the hole and was right there. You know, and the field conditions here in Winnipeg really should affect Charles Roberts more than it would affect the defensive player. You see, as Ray Jacobs slides down there, number 84 is right there with Charles Roberts. Charles Roberts is sort of a scat back. He's the kind of guy who can make about 14 moves in 3 seconds. but with a wet field and the quick, small running back like Charles Roberts is going to slow him down.
Bombers have decided 3rd and 1, maybe a little better than a yard, is worth the gamble.
No shot.
Bad decision.
No shot. I'll tell you what, Jeff Traversy and James Cotton just exploded out of their stances. And they both came from the left side of the line of scrimmage, and they were in that backfield. Jeff Traversy got out of his stance in a hurry. Traversy, watch these guys just get out of their stance. Cotton and Travis, look at 94, attack the line of scrimmage. He is in the backfield. James Cotton makes the tackle, but it was Traversy's penetration that stopped that play.
And it's not quite as easy to get a yard when the field is slippery like this one is here tonight. Crandall, complete for Vince Danielson, who's made a couple of great catches tonight.
Is it just me, or is Marcus Crandall a little right-handed right now?
Looking always in that direction and looking to Danielson. Where's Bo Richter?
9 out of 10 passes for Marcus Crandall so far have been to his right. Mark Bo Richter has been primarily on his left. Now, Bo Richter tonight will draw Jerron Bolden in coverage.
And it'll be a little more difficult for Bo Richter to get himself in open space against Bolden, no doubt. 2nd and 6, Crandall. Nice pass inside the 25. Peterson still standing as he crossed the 15-yard line. He's down to about 12. So Crandall has had a real super start to this game. He hasn't made the end zone yet, but there's another 29 yards.
Great poise by Marcus Crandall with the pocket collapsing around him. He keeps his poise and steps up in the throwing lane. Kamal Peterson, excuse me, comes across the middle, works to the open area, but because Marcus Crandall had stepped up and bought himself some time, he was able to deliver that pass.
Crandall, 9 of 11, almost 100 yards. 1st and 10 at the Bombers' 12. Calgary already leading 6-0. Kelvin Anderson has a couple.
John, Marcus Crandall's off to a pretty good start throwing the football, but what he's got to do is start to finish these drives off with majors. A couple of field goals now from Mark McLaughlin. That's what hurt him last week.
Yeah, and it's really what's hurt the Stampeders all season long. They have not been able to get into the end zone when they get their opportunities. So this is a golden chance for Calgary here now. 2nd and 7. Crandall almost intercepted. Tight coverage.
Should have been.
Peterson was the target. Byron Capers, who's playing extremely well for the Bombers on the corner, was on his man.
Bo Richter was going down the sideline, and that's the initial target that Crandall was looking for. Then he went back over the middle to Kamal Peterson, and you can see how Byron Capers right here is going to cut across and make a really nice play on the football once it's in the air.
Yeah, he really threw it behind the target, didn't he?
Yeah, at the Eastern semifinal, that can't change. So big game for the Lions, likely.
And tomorrow, the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats, with the Argos having one last shot at making the playoffs in a crossover role. If they can come away with a victory over the Tiger Cats, they're still in the hunt. Charles Roberts explodes out of there. Great return. Roberts out to the 50. 46 yards on the return. This guy is magic. Number 2 in combined yards in the CFL. Number 2 to Antonio Warren of the Stampeders.
Well, the other thing, if you have a wet field, yeah, it's going to slow the side-to-side moves down a little bit for Charles Roberts. But if you give him a crease, it also makes it tough on defenders to change direction in the open field. And you can see that Roberts just got some pretty good blocking and took off in there. Second in the CFL in all-purpose yards.
Yeah, he might have had a run at the title had he not gone AWOL last week, because he was right there with Antonio Warren going into last week. But Warren had a spectacular week. Robert Gordon makes the catch. Big first down for the Blue Bombers.
And so far, that offensive line for Winnipeg is doing their job, because Kahari Jones, as far as I can see, has not been hit yet. Saw Joe Fleming in the very first play get relatively close, but if Kahari Jones can stand up in there and throw, it's going to be a long night for the Calgary defense.
16 yards. Make it 20 yards for Robert Gordon. And the Bombers' first down, setting Winnipeg up at the 30. Kahari Jones has time. It's batted down. Ray Jacobs got a mitt on it.
Ray Jacobs looked a little bit like Michael Jordan there, didn't he?
He got high, didn't he?
He jumped out of the gym and just slapped that one away. Kahari Jones has time initially. You see Jacobs working on Dave Mudge. Can't get into the backfield, so he goes up and goes, take that thing out of here.
How about Dave Mudge, offensive lineman of the month?
Well, how about Dave Mudge as the team's nominee for offensive lineman of the year?
I like that a lot. He's had a superb season. 2nd and 10. Jones has to get out of there. Throwing on the run. And he has Gordon again. I should say Arlen Bruce. Arlen Bruce III came back to the quarterback and made the catch.
And what Arlen Bruce does is he keeps coming back, and that's the key to the play. He doesn't just run his pattern and stop. He keeps coming back, working back, working back. He gives up about 5-6 yards of real estate, but he does come up with the catch. And those are his numbers this season with 1 game to go.
Yeah, he's had a pretty good rookie year too. 6 touchdowns.
They had some holes to fill this season in the receiving corps.
Gain of 20 for Gordon, 19 for Bruce, and that sets the Bombers up on the Stampeder 10. First down. Another nice fake by Kahari Jones. Touchdown toss. And a man, but Gordon couldn't catch up to it.
He was digging. Robert Gordon was working to get there. He knew that football had to be thrown out in front of him. He just couldn't get it.
That's the end of quarter number 1. We're still waiting for them to...
Of late. Here in Winnipeg.
There were a couple of years where it was 3-15, not 15-3 or 14-3. I mean, the Bombers need a win tonight to get to that magic 15th victory, but 14-3 looks pretty good compared to a couple of years ago, Glenn, and even back to last year where they battled into the final week, just like the Stampeders are doing, to finally get a playoff spot.
A lot of that changed on July 28th last year when Kahari Jones made his first start as a Winnipeg Blue Bomber.
And here the Bombers are, 2nd and goal. At the Stampeder 10, Calgary leading 9-0. Kahari Jones, time, tosses to the corner, not this time. Coverage was too tight on Robert Gordon. Kelly Malvo.
Well, quite simply, Kelly Malvo stuck with Robert Gordon and just was patient with him. Nice shot of it right here. Watch how he just is patient. Gordon tries to turn to the outside. He uses his hands, stays right in the hips, and when the ball's there and delivered, he reaches around and knocks it out of there.
So the Bombers will settle for an attempt by Troy Westwood, who is kicking at about 60%. This is a short little chip shot from the 17. And there has to be a little concern heading into the playoffs with Westwood's performance lately.
Yeah, well, coming into this game, just hitting 1 of his last 6. And yeah, he has struggled, but I talked to Westwood. His confidence is still there. He said, you know, the numbers aren't great this year, but it won't mean a thing if I make the kicks in a couple of weeks in that Eastern final, and he's absolutely right.
Well, last year, a couple of misses really hurt the Blue Bombers at certain stages of the season and affected their winning percentage without question. And he hasn't been called upon to make as many clutch kicks this year because the Bombers have been playing so well. They haven't needed the field goals.
Well,
They've been scoring touchdowns, right?
When you win, you can struggle through some personal difficulties.
Yeah, absolutely. Here are the numbers after the opening quarter, and not surprisingly, the Stampeders dominate in net yards.
I love this here. I guess both teams just said, forget it.
We're not running today.
We're not going to run the ball.
Too slippery out there. We might hurt something.
Too slippery. Let's just throw it. Quarterbacks want to keep their arms warm tonight, I guess. It's actually a beautiful night for football here in Winnipeg because I don't think I've ever been to this stadium where there's not been some kind of wind, and there's really no wind tonight.
Antonio Warren Returning for the Stampeders, he's across the 20, across the 30, across the 40, and he slides across the 45-yard line. 37 yards on the return, and what a year Antonio Warren is having. #1 in combined yards coming into this, 28-17. #1 in kickoff returns. #1 in punt returns.
Will, no question, be the Calgary Stampeders candidate this year for Rookie of the Year. Antonio Warren considered a rookie because last year he was on the practice roster, and as long as you're not on the active roster, injury list, or disabled list, you're considered a rookie. So basically Antonio Warren didn't really get a game check last year, so he's considered a rookie this year, and he'll be their nominee and should get some votes.
I think so. I mean, he's had a wonderful year.
He'll likely be up against Baron Simpson from the BC Lions in that category and trying to get out of the West. Baron Simpson having a tremendous year in defense in BC. And then in the East, Charles Roberts likely be the rookie nominee.
This is 2nd and 6. Crandall had time, picked up, far side.
You remember when Arland Bruce came back to the football to help out Kahari Jones?
Yeah, Lamar McGriggs did that.
Well, Lamar McGriggs came back and took it from Marcus Crandall.
Crandall has tossed up his first interception of the ball game. Back-to-back interceptions. First the Bombers, then Greg Ferris of the Stampeders, and Calgary ball.
Kahari Jones was trying to go to Jamie Stoddard. Greg Ferris right to the right of your screen here. He's just going to drop into the middle. Jamie Stoddard's coming across the middle right here. Now, when the ball is overthrown, Greg Ferris has it, and watch the key block from Alondra Johnson. He comes across and hit Charles Roberts. We'll show you that in 1 second.
Crandall looks deep. A one-handed try, and he hangs on to the ball.
You know what? Forget about that, Alondra Johnson.
Forget that. This is 2 one-handers by Danielson so far in the first half.
Apparently, he just needs one hand tonight. Yeah, we'll skip that Alondra Johnson block. It was a nice one, but let's watch this catch instead. Right down the middle as Vince Danielson gets about a yard on Jerome Bolden.
In tight coverage, too, he hangs on.
Well, he got some help there from Byron Capers and still hung on to the football with one hand.
Danielson having a sensational evening, a 25-yard gain there. First down, Calgary. Crandall under the coverage. It'll be another Stampeder first down. Peterson made the catch.
Okay, well, that interception is setting up this drive for Calgary. So when you see this hit, watch Alondra Johnson, number 51. After Greg Ferris intercepts this pass, we will show it to you. Here he comes now. Here comes Alondra Johnson right here. He's going to come across here and watch Charles Roberts get up, turn around, and go pow right in the ear hole there. That gives Greg Ferris another 6-7 yards, and it's got the Calgary Stampeders some momentum, and they're going to get a few more yards out of this Winnipeg penalty.
Unnecessary roughness charged against the Bombers. Sounds like Jerron Bolden was caught there. So add on a few more yards. It was a 15-yard gain on the reception. Total of 23. So the Stampeders are set up at the Blue Bombers 7. First and goal to go Calgary from there. Crandall rolling to his right.
Got nobody.
No one home.
No, he
thought about the run for a split second, and that closed off too. Cummings was the target right on the goal line.
This penalty situation, as you saw Jerome Bolden put his team in a bit of a hole here, has been interesting for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this season. Of course, they're last in the league. Well, actually first in the league when you look at it as far as total penalties.
How about just say most penalized?
Most penalized.
There you go.
Thank you. Most penalized team in the league. But what's interesting about that, that's over 100 yards per game on average, right? Look at Saskatchewan. They're the least penalized team in the league.
They have the least victories. The Bombers have the most victories.
Yeah.
How do you explain that?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting, is that the most penalized team also has the most victories. Do nice guys finish last? Is that how it works?
Well, sometimes that happens, and it's not a pillow fight out there. You know, you've got to... You got to hit somebody every once in a while.
You got that right.
Injury timeout here in Winnipeg. Stampeder being tended to down there with Calgary on top, 9-3. Preview of Game 6. As the series shifts back to Arizona. Now, the Stampeders. Chance for the touchdown here. Little swing pass and slanting in. Kelvin Anderson made the catch. He's short of the goal line. It'll be 3rd down.
Interesting conversation with Mark Boerichter before this game about when the Calgary Stampeders got down inside the 10-yard line this year, and he just couldn't figure out why they haven't been more successful putting that ball into the end zone when they've had to.
Well, this is the 3rd time they've been in the red zone inside the 20-yard line, and so far, no touchdowns.
Well, in the first play, they really cut the field in half when Marcus Crandall rolled out. He didn't have a target, and then Kelvin Anderson held short.
McLaughlin 3 for 3. This from the 9. And no problem there. So McLaughlin is having a perfect evening. The Stampeders have moved the football. Can't get across that Bomber goal line.
Yeah, and then you got to wonder, will that come up and catch him in the end? Because, you know, when you've been down inside the 25-yard line 4 times and only have 12 points, it almost always comes back and gets you. And Marcus Crandall at halftime really got to sit down with George Cortez and figure out exactly what they do when they get inside the 10, inside the 20.
Talked about the Blue Bombers. Kahari Jones, an outstanding season. He will get votes as the outstanding player in the CFL this year. We asked Kahari who he'd vote for if he had a chance.
Jeez. I don't know. I'd have to put me in the mix somewhere, I think. I definitely, I mean, you could say Mumford, you could say Milt Stegall, which I think is great. But I'd be in there somewhere.
I love it. I love it. I mean, the guy has to be there somewhere, guys. He's got to be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers' outstanding player for starters. 61% of his passes.
All he has to say is, you know, when you've had a season like me, it's hard to be humble.
No one ever asked you that question, I guess.
No one ever asked me that one.
Charles
And
Roberts.
by the way, thanks for bringing that up. That was not a question I ever had. But deserves the nomination, no question. I mean, we've seen what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers look like without Kahari Jones in the lineup, because last week versus the Toronto Argonauts, he only played a quarter, and that was their 3rd loss of the season.
Yeah, just 49%. 4 of 9 last week against Toronto. It was not a hot night for any of the Blue Bomber quarterbacks. All 3, Brian Ayette and Jose Davis, also got a chance to play. Here's Jones. Got a man open near side. Catch made by...
Well, they're saying Jeff Drover caught that ball on the sideline, and the fans didn't think he was down, and he didn't think he was down. Let's take a quick look at that, because Jeff Drover turned on an out pattern here. He catches it. Now, does his knee touch the ground? Here comes the ball to Kahari Jones left. Now, here's the catch. Barnes on the tackle. He never touched his knee down. That was his elbow to his hand, and he spun out of it.
As a result, it's a 4-yard gain, and 2nd and 6.
Whoa, happy feet. Look out!
Kahari cut from behind.
Joe Fleming.
Yeah, ran him down.
Pretty good speed from Joe Fleming, as Kahari Jones got a chance early to look at about 3 or 4 different targets and couldn't find anyone downfield. That's what you call a coverage sack for Joe Fleming. In other words, the coverage downfield is why Joe Fleming gets the sack. He's working on Abu Metric out to the outside. Now watch the speed. Look at that, high stepping, track man. Gotcha.
Talked about Joe Fleming, a former member of the Blue Bombers who left Winnipeg a couple of years ago after a 3-15 season and a 6-12 season. Got to Calgary in time to get to the Western Final last year, of course. and they lost to the BC Lions, so he's still looking for the opportunity for a Grey Cup after 6 years in the league. Warren has a couple on the return. It'll be 1st and 10 Calgary when we return to Winnipeg. Welcome back to Winnipeg. Stampeders 1st and 10. Critical game for Calgary. A win, and the Stamps grab 3rd spot in the West. A loss, and they'll have to have some help. Another nice catch as Stampeder receivers are going up and bringing them down from everywhere tonight. That's Peterson. Kamal Peterson has made a couple. Not quite as spectacular as Vince Danielson, but nice catches none the same. Nonetheless, I should say.
Well, I guarantee you they got the pep talk. Jacques Chapdelaine works with the receivers. He's on the right of Mike Roach there. You hear Mike Roach. Wasn't very happy over the last series, apparently, but on the right is Jacques Chapdelaine charting plays, and you know he gave him the pep talk for this one. They haven't played well over the last couple of weeks.
2nd and 5.
Look out.
Nowhere to hide. Donaldson got through again. Not quite as big a hit as he put on Danny McManus a couple of weeks ago, but he did get to the quarterback with a free shot.
Well, no, because Marcus Crandall saw it coming. Danny McManus never saw it coming, and he was hammered. This time, Crandall saw it in time and got down. Look at number 2 right here. He's standing up. He's going to hit the gap. Once the blocking is developed, see, he waits that split second for that offensive line to pick up their men. Then he finds his lane, and he is gone.
2nd sack of the night for the Blue Bombers.
Double D, they called him. We profiled him in the pregame.
O'Mahony's kick coming down to Roberts on the dead run.
Oh, that's a big
Huge
play.
play. Took the hit, drew the flag. Instant field position.
Well, the reason that's a big play is because there was a ton of traffic around Charles Roberts. He flew up in there, caught the football, and will get the 15-yard no yards penalty.
Just 28 yards on the
No
punt.
yards. Calgary number 30. First down.
Yeah, and that's the big one because he caught it. Because if this ball hits the turf, you never know with the football, because, John, the football has 2 pointy ends. You never know how it's going to bounce if it hits the turf. And you can see the traffic around Charles Roberts. He catches that and gets the no yards call. And now Winnipeg in great field position.
Cummings on the tackle. Superb field position for the Bombers at the 42. Robert Gordon gets to about the 32. Looks like a 10-yard gain to me.
I want to show you a heads-up play if we have it. What happened was on the crossing route from Robert Gordon, he's going to come all the way across the field here, and on the other side is Arlan Bruce III. Now, Arlan Bruce had a chance to throw a block and help Robert Gordon at the end of this play. You can see number 4 coming to your screen from the right there. He just lets up on Barnes, and the reason he doesn't block him is because it was going to be close to clipping and take away the gain.
First down, Bombers. Kahari Jones looking deep for Arlan Bruce. He's got it. Touchdown.
Little payday for a heads-up play from Arlan Bruce in the play before. And now that's a new dance there.
See, Jeff Drover is just learning at number 80.
They don't do that dance in Newfoundland. That's where Jeff Drover's from.
Yeah, isn't that a great story?
Yeah.
Walk on at the University of Calgary a couple of years ago. Did not play high school football. Went to the Dinosaurs. Said, can I get a chance? They gave him one. Look where he is now, playing in the CFL.
And trying to figure out the dance steps for Arlan Bruce. Hey, let me in here, guys.
What you got to do is you got to start with the right foot, or else
in.
It's all messed up. What a wonderful touchdown reception by Arlan Bruce III.
Nice protection up front initially for Kahari Jones. You see the offensive line giving him nice passing lanes. Jeff Traversy kept right away from Kahari Jones. He's allowed to throw that ball, and he puts nice arc on it. In other words, He gets it real high and lets it go up in the air and then drop over the shoulder of Arland Bruce. And really, Joe Barnes had no chance. Sometimes for a quarterback, it's not just how hard you can throw the ball, but with what kind of touch you can put on it. That time, Gahari Jones put the perfect amount of touch on the throw.
Frustration setting in for the Stampeders here, Glenn. Unnecessary roughness means the Bomber kickoff is going to come at the 50. Antonio Warren finds a little seam. Not a bad return considering he's out near the 25. So what we have is the Stampeders settling for field goals. The Bombers have one of those plus the touchdown.
See, that's exactly what we have. And I think if you look at time of possession, likely Calgary Stampeders will have dominated in that category in the first half. But when you come away with just field goals, it takes one throw to put the other team back on track. And that's exactly what we have. One throw to Arland Bruce, and it's a 2-point game, whereas Calgary has maintained possession of the football throughout the first half.
Well, yeah, and time of possession is right there for the Stampeders. Likely total yards when you add it all up. But the Bombers get to the end zone. It's a 2-point game. Winnipeg trailing 12-10. First down, Calgary. Kelvin Anderson. Pretty nice run. He's out across the 31-yard line, averaging 5.4 yards a carry. 1,730 yards from scrimmage for Kelvin Anderson so far. And the rushing numbers right near the very top of the heap. He's in a battle for the rushing title with Michael Jenkins of the Argos, who is 34 yards ahead coming into this game tonight.
It's been an interesting season with those 100-yard games for Kelvin Anderson, as you can see. He's dominant. When he got 100 coming into this year, they won. Hasn't been the case this year for some reason.
2nd and 5, and this will be a Calgary. Oh, maybe not. Close to a first down is Peterson. And the spot all important to the Stampeders here.
I think he's going to be a good 2 yards short, John.
I think you're right now.
Pretty good tackle in the open field. I thought it was Byron Capers involved. And you know, really, Marcus Crandall didn't have a whole lot of time to get rid of this football. Watch Doug Brown, number 97 in your screen.
Well,
a little bull rush there on Crysdale. Seth O'Reilly there as well.
Brown was drafted by the Stampeders in 97. Calgary goes gambling here. 3rd down, a yard to go. Stampeders are desperate for a win. And maybe they weren't seriously thinking about it. We'll see what the decision is down there. They whistled the play down.
Thomas Rayam was ready to hit somebody. That's all that mattered to him. He heard no whistle.
Well, yeah, they're just resetting the time clock. There was no infraction.
Yeah, and Thomas Rayam doesn't care either way. He just, can you let me hit someone, please? That's all he's saying.
The gamble, it should pay off this time. It looked like there was enough forward progression. It's up to the officials now and where they spot the ball.
Well, what makes it nerve-wracking for Wally Buono is if they bring the chains in, and that's what they're going to do. In other words, if when they put their foot down, they look up and the officials believe it's a first down, they won't even bring the chains in. But when you have to measure, you never know, and here they come.
Stampeders are desperate to win to grab 3rd spot in the CFL West.
And I think they're going to get it, but not by much.
Oh, full Wilson there.
Full Wilson. Is that like a full Nelson only in football?
The length of the football.
I got you. I smell what you're cooking.
Different Calgary team than we witnessed last week against the Lions on actually Sunday afternoon. Crandall, time, nice pass. He's on the money for Camille Loud, who's made a couple of nice plays tonight too.
Well, Tom Europe, really, it was too far for him to get there to help Marvin Coleman because of the design of the pattern. Because what happened is Vince Danielson went down the seam and he influenced Tom Europe so that he couldn't get over there to help Marvin Coleman on the corner.
3 minutes till halftime. Stampeders on a nice little drive here. 1st and 10 when we return. Crandall, nice catch. Chance for the touchdown. Foiled at the 15-yard line by Jerron Bolden. Peterson. The catch again, Kamau Peterson, I should say.
Yeah, Kamau Peterson right down the seam, and Mark Boerichter, they were side by side, so there was a mistake in the receiving core, but I think Marcus Crandall made the adjustment with the throw. You see Boerichter's over to the right, and you can see the throw behind. In other words, Crandall threw it to the back hip of Kamau Peterson and hoped that he would just react to it, which he did.
32 yards to gain. Stampeders in that red zone again, looking to get a touchdown this time. 2:35 till halftime from the 17. This is Anderson sliding out of the backfield and hammered out of bounds by Byron Capers, 23.
Kamau Peterson had the key block, but it was against Lamar McGriggs, and that's a tough assignment to draw to make that play work. It only goes for 1 yard. Watch this. This play is designed to get Calvin Anderson to the outside. Now, coming downhill is Kamau Peterson, and he's supposed to get the block on number 36, Lamar McGriggs, and McGriggs sort of ran right through it.
Here the Stampeders again in 2nd and long. It's 2nd and 9. Crandall has been very effective tonight. Under the cover, he's got Boerichter. He'll have the 1st down. 2nd catch of the night for Mark Boerichter.
Well, they really need the Calgary Stampeders to finish this drive. You see that matchup we talked about early. Mark Boerichter on Jerron Bolden, and Bolden really couldn't get good footwork on the turn, but Cortez needs to find a way to finish this drive because they've been down inside there now 4 times in this game. 23-yard line, 35-yard line, 9-yard line, and 3-yard line, and come away with 4 field goals. And now they're on the 5-yard line.
Yeah, they've never been closer than this. 3 cracks at it from the 5 for the Stampeders. There's the first one. Crandall buying time. Got it away. Anderson, the race to the end zone. He's in. Touchdown, Calgary.
Well, they involved the right guy, although I probably would have run it to him if I'm on the 5-yard line. Just turn. He's standing right here now. Why don't you just give it to him right there? Instead, they wait till Crandall takes it. They fake it. Then he runs all the way over here. And then he goes, well, I got to get him to him somehow. But now it's just a longer throw. So now he's got to go back across the field. But they finally get it to Calvin Anderson, and they finally finish off a drive. And you look at this Calgary Stampeder team offensively. You sort of think of, you know, when you're golfing and you hit that nice one down the middle, about 300 yards, then you put a nice 8-iron right up on the green, and then
see, that's all a dream to me.
Yeah, and then you 4-putt.
Yeah.
And you end up with bogey anyway, right? That's kind of what Calgary's been doing. You know, nice drive, put it together, get down the goal line, and then they 4-putt. Well, this time they nailed a putt, and it was Calvin Anderson who got it done. He gets to the outside right here, and he just drifts away and just kind of disappears and says, hey, need a target. Here I am.
Yeah, kind of up and down, right? Scoring drive is brought to you by UPS, moving at the speed of your business.
You don't know 300 drives down the middle?
I think I might have hit one 300 with a lot of roll, not necessarily right down the middle.
Downhill with a 100-mile-an-hour wind behind you, and I got you. 7 plays, 84 yards. And they really have maintained possession of that football, but that's the first major to show for it. That's got to be something, some momentum the Calgary Stampeders can build on at halftime.
Yeah, really huge. 19-10 Stampeders on top of the Blue Bombers.
This way it makes sense. Yeah, like
Melvin Anderson gets into the end zone.
Pretty good, but then he went underneath and still ran.
3rd receiving touchdown of the year. McLaughlin's kickoff. Charles Roberts across the 30. Nice burst of speed. He's up to midfield almost. 28 on the return. Kahari Jones heads out. Didn't play a lot last week. didn't play much the week before either after the Bombers had clinched top spot.
Yeah, he's played just over 3/4 in the last 2 games, but you know, according to Dave Ritchie, as long as the game is in balance, he will be in there. And a lot of people, including yours truly, thinks that's a bit of a risk for Kahari Jones. But Dave Ritchie wants to win this game.
Well, it's a catch-22. You've got to stay sharp as well getting ready for the Eastern Final.
That
one is picked off. William Fields. So Jones has tossed a couple up tonight. His second interception. And there's part of the point.
That's exactly what you just said, yeah.
If you don't stay sharp, and he hasn't played a whole bunch and had a tough week last week against Toronto.
Fields is outside there, number 29. He's just going to sit on this. It's just an underthrown football. Arland Bruce, a little move to the inside, then tried to go deep, and well underthrown from Kahari Jones, and William Fields just catches that like he would a punt.
His 4th interception of the season.
It ain't that hard.
Not when they're like that, no. I would agree.
Stamps have it right back with 1:58 till halftime. Crandall is winning the duel tonight as he hooks up again with Kelvin Anderson.
Well, you mentioned the importance of the game for the Stampeders, John, and yeah, they win and they lock up a playoff spot. If they lose, now they give control to the Toronto Argonauts. In other words, they lose.
Are you going into this whole thing now?
I'm not going to go into the whole deal, but if they lose this game, Toronto's in control. With a win, Toronto's in.
Yeah.
So that's how important it is. You don't want to lose control.
Stamps get 3rd place with a win tonight. This is 2nd and 5 Calgary. Crandall. Almost intercepted by Nash. They call it a catch for Cummings. Aubrey Cummings actually stole it from Harold Nash, who had his hands on it.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Closer look here.
The Calgary receivers have come to play tonight.
Whoa, what a difference.
A couple of one-hand catches from Vince Danielson. I mean, I can't remember a drop from the Stampeder receiving corps in this game tonight. And look at this one. Battle for the football.
That was a
Nash.
theft from 0-0, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Aubrey Cummings wins the battle.
Numbers for Marcus Crandall, very impressive. 237 yards. 21 of 26. Another first down here. Crandall out of the cover. Anderson makes the catch and runs right into Jerron Bolden.
Now, part of the reason that Crandall's having success is that he's had time to throw the ball.
He's tossed 1 interception tonight.
Doug Brown is a bit banged up in the middle of that defensive line. We talked about his sprained ankle. He's not got a whole bunch of pressure yet tonight. Seppo O'Reilly's been quiet. Marcus Crandall's numbers reflect that. Changing the play up here.
2nd down. Here's the heat. Crandall dodges 1. Completes the pass. Then it's dropped. They call it incomplete. Bo Richter had it, but not long enough.
Well, first of all, Marcus Crandall called Kelvin Anderson in. Anderson was lined up as a wide receiver slot back way to the outside. He called him in for extra protection because he saw the Winnipeg Blue Bombers were coming with the blitz. You see Kelvin Anderson right here. He had come from way to the outside to get to that point because Marcus Crandall could see the blitz was coming. See, 13 Tom Europe was right there. He's the guy who puts the hit on Crandall after the throw, and this is Mark Bo Richter. Doesn't have it.
They got the right call.
You know, and Bo Richter was about 4 yards short of a first down anyway, had he caught that one.
Oh, might have been in field goal range. O'Mani. It's a wobbler away, and flags go down on the return. Just a 29-yard punt. It's been an adventure in punting out here tonight, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, and the footing is part of the problem, even for the kickers. That plant foot, you're a little more tentative with it. You can't get the power in the kick that you want, so it's been affecting them as well. And Kahari Jones, off that underthrown and that interception, underthrown football to Arland Bruce, gets another crack at it, and he's got time to move into field goal range with 53 seconds.
And Kahari Jones has not been sharp tonight. 8 of 14 for 108 yards. A couple of interceptions. got it away just in time. Eric Blunt for about 6 yards, however.
Mike Roach has a pretty good game plan right now for Kahari Jones. You talked about his numbers not being very good so far in this game. You got to give credit to the defense when that happens. Right now, they've made some plays on it. A couple interceptions, like you mentioned. Comes Alondra Johnson.
Second down. He'll get a first down here. Completion to Wade Miller. Or Bobby Gordon, I should say.
Well, he caught Calgary Stampeders in a blitz. Alondra Johnson coming up the middle, and here's Robert Gordon. He sees inside. He sees Alondra Johnson not there. Well, if Johnson's not in the middle, that's where I got to get to. And you got to get there in a hurry.
First and 10 from the 34. Jones won't get it away. Wrapped up by Ray Jacobs. 8 sacks on the season coming into this one tonight. Knocked down a pass this evening as well.
Calgary Stampeders are playing like this is a playoff game for them. Look at that nice move to the inside. That's called a rip move, where you take that right arm and you rip through the offensive lineman, Sheridan in that case.
Second and 16. Last crack at it for the Bombers in this half. Eric Blunt the catch. Anthony Pryor makes a fine tackle over there on Blunt.
Yeah, and this play had
3 seconds remain.
It had no chance of working out well for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, because not only was Anthony Pryor flying up there to make that tackle, but Joe Fleming was coming from the other direction, and Blunt really had no chance. Watch the hit. There's the hit right to the leg. You see 76 is in there as well, and Willie Fells also right on the spot, so I don't think that had much of a chance. Anthony Pryor, just 1 interception on the season, but he does have 14 knockdowns, which leads the Calgary Stampeders. And like Wally Buono said, he'd like to have turned some of those into interceptions. 54 knockdowns, 27 were dropped interceptions, according to the coach.
And only 12 interceptions on the year. I mean, somewhere you need some turnovers. They have a couple tonight.
That's right. You have those 2 tonight, and it's been a difference. They have the lead. You know, and for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, though, it's not an unsurmountable lead. It's a lead that it could be much worse. Had Calgary come away with majors every time they were inside the 20-yard line.
19-10 is the score. Calgary on top. 3 seconds to go. And the Bombers have decided just to try and figure a way to take those 3 seconds off the clock. Oh my gosh, Kahari slides safely, and he barely got there. Almost turned it over. But he watched the clock go down. Zeros were on. That's when he went down as well.
We'll head to
for Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders with a 9-point lead on Winnipeg. The same can't be said for the Bombers. Here's Greg Musselman.
Bombers head coach Dave Ritchie, what did you tell your guys at halftime?
Well, they better pick it up, because offensively we haven't showed up for 2 weeks, and we're not playing very well offensively. So we got to pick it up, and we can't give them the ball as many times as we've already given them the ball in this end of the field, where they can either kick field goals or score a touchdown on us. They're playing with a lot more energy in it right now than we are, and I don't, hey, that's probably what it means. I mean, they want to go to the playoffs. We're already there, so I don't know what to tell you.
What about Kahari? Is he going to play the whole game?
Kahari's going to go the whole game. So, we're not in exhibition season anymore. We gave one away last week. We're going to try not to give another one away.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck in the second half.
Bombers are finding it difficult to turn it on, Glenn, aren't they?
Well, he answered the question for you right there. He said Kahari Jones is going the entire game. And you talked about getting the rust off Kahari Jones in the first half. He hasn't looked good in the last few games. He hasn't put up typical Kahari Jones numbers, and Dave Ritchie said it right there. He said, we got to play him, and we got to start playing better offensively.
Stampeder error there. The kick goes out of bounds, and Winnipeg ends up with the 45-yard line.
Yeah, and they've got decent field position to start out with. So Kahari Jones now probably got the pep talk from Dave Ritchie at halftime. He said, hey, let's get this offense back on track in a hurry. 2 weeks goes by quickly, and then we're in that East Division final.
From the 45, first down Winnipeg. Jones, first toss, second half complete. Harlan Bruce, third, and he takes a hit.
Right around the head. Alondra Johnson didn't treat him with much respect when he got over there. Alondra Johnson right here in the middle, take a little drop and then fly over there to the plate. He gets the big right arm around there. There's that couple steps, and watch the right arm around the head of Harlan Bruce. Pow! That's the old-fashioned clothesline.
We knew Alondra was going to be here to play tonight when we saw him in the hotel.
He was patrolling the lobby last night.
Kahari misses on the far side.
It's pretty funny. We walked by him. He was staying, the Calgary Stampeders staying in the same hotel as we are, and saw Alondra Johnson in the lobby, and I said, Alondra, what are you doing? And he looked like he was ready to play last night. In other words, you know, you didn't want to say anything too off topic with him. You just wanted to keep everything kind of nice for him. He was kind of intense, and he said, I'm watching for anybody coming in and out. They better be on time tonight. He was patrolling that
he was
lobby.
the hall monitor, right?
Yeah. He was like, you're not skipping curfew, not on my shift.
Bob Cameron is in. Better kick this time with a slight breeze. This is Loud sliding across the 20. Penalty markers are down on the return by Camille Loud of 10 yards. Here's how the quarterbacks have stacked up in this one so far. Marcus Crandall
Calgary
with the edge so far.
Well, you heard Matt Dunnigan at halftime get pretty excited about Marcus Crandall's numbers, and when you look at them, you can see why. You know, he's on pace for over 400 on the game if he keeps moving the ball the way he is, and the opposite end of the spectrum, Kahari Jones, has been struggling. And that's the concern you could hear in Dave Ritchie's voice at halftime. This offense has got to get back on track. It's not the preseason anymore, and that's why he's going to play him the entire way.
No question, Kahari Jones is missing his favorite receiver in Milt Stegall, but the Bombers' offense has not looked sharp 6 quarters in a row now. Kelvin Anderson, as the Stampeders start deep in their own zone.
Well, and usually what's happened with the Winnipeg football team this year, the offense has struggled, the defense has picked it up and made some big plays, and they get Calgary in 2nd and long right off the bat here. They got 2nd and long 7 or 8. So, and that's been the story this year for Winnipeg. They really have won with that defense, and the front 7 has led the way.
So Crandall looks at 2nd and long in the early moments of the second half. And the crowd here at the stadium a little louder all of a sudden. No one home far side. Peterson was the target, and the Stampeders will kick it away.
Well, Jerron Bolden was over there and did a pretty nice job. He was on the inside position on Mark Boerichter, and when Marcus Crandall tried to get out there, see, watch what he does here to Boerichter. A little jam right up in the chin, and then he sits right in that throwing lane, and Crandall is not really confident in the throw because he sees Jerron Bolden standing there, and he knows that Bolden is a step away from intercepting it, so he puts it in the turf.
Amani is in the end zone. Charles Roberts waits near midfield. Stamps kicking into a breeze. Will they give up a couple of points? Yep. The wise decision at this point in the game in your mind?
Well, yeah, I think it was. I mean, that's a ton of field position you lose, and it was a wise decision for Duncan O'Mahony to get out of bounds because he might have lost a year or 2 of his life.
Left over from a Halloween party last night, I guess.
Or maybe it's a party that hasn't ended.
This guy can scoot. It's Charles Roberts again.
Whoa.
Big hit down there. That field, you can see, is a little slippery. 13 on the return. And the Bombers have closed to within a touchdown.
Mike Roach, defensive coordinator, has got some big plays out of his defense so far in this game. When you think back to that 3rd down gamble early with Jeff Travis, he got great penetration and ended that one. That gave the Stampeders the ball.
Then a couple of interceptions.
Greg Frere's right there with one of them.
And here's the easiest interception in the history of the league, I think.
William Fields sits down on this one, and it's an underthrown ball by Kahari Jones.
Jones near side on the money. Marcus Howell has his first catch of the night. And we'll see where they mark this one. It's awfully close to the first down marker. Well, maybe inches short. No, they'll call it a first down.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers have basically abandoned the running game, and you know, they're only down by 7.
Bombers trying to win their 15th game of the year.
There you go. Run
Here's
the ball
Eric Blunt. Dragging Joe Fleming along for an extra yard or so.
You know, offensive coordinator for Winnipeg, Rick Warman, knows a thing or two about how important the running game is for a quarterback. Of course, he played quarterback for 100 games in the Canadian Football League, and you can't abandon it, especially in a game that's only 7-point difference. If Joe Fleming, Ray Jacobs, James Cotton, and Jeff Traversy know that on every single play you're going to throw the ball, they're going to come after you.
2nd and 6, Blue Bombers. Just inside Stampeder territory. Jones puts it up, looking deep. Great defensive play.
Oh, was it ever?
Really was. Kelly Melville got a hand in there and batted it away.
Well, it was a great play because at the very end of it, with the football on its way, Kelly Melville turned around, faced the football, and then went up with both hands so he would avoid the pass interference call. Here's the end of the play for you. And you see as he turns around, he gets both hands up there so that the officials don't have any way they can throw the flag.
Here's Bob Cameron, standing at his own 45. Kicking with the breeze. Loud. Dragged down by Hocking. Imagine my surprise when I opened my Winnipeg Sun this morning and saw the Sunshine Boy.
I tell you what, I thought I was going to lose my breakfast.
Here he is at 47. Bob, Bomber veteran, will be in action tonight.
That was in the paper today. The Sunshine Boy. I think they should rename it, though. If they're going to use Bob, they should call it maybe the Sunshine Senior Citizen.
Well, he's 47. But here's the deal. He's embarrassed about this. But Westwood talked him into it. And Cameron said, no way. Westwood had done it last year, posing with a cowboy hat on.
Yeah,
and,
just a cowboy
hat. And that was
hat.
all.
Yeah.
And Cameron said, if we finish first, I'll do it. Westwood remembered and sent the photographer over.
Oh, boy. That's a nice hit. You know what? I tell you, that's funny because, you know, kickers are different guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of guys bet on, you know, let's bet on interception race. Let's bet on, you know, the big hits. And the kickers are betting on the pictures in the newspaper to be the Sunshine Boy. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal on it, though. If you saw him in the towel there.
Yeah.
Well, he was wearing his jeans underneath. So they just wrapped him up in a towel just to add the sex appeal of the whole deal.
Oh, was it ever sexy?
2nd and 5. Crandall had a receiver open and tossed it at Peterson's feet. So things are falling apart a little bit for the Stampeders here.
Well, the defense responds for Winnipeg, and that's the difference, and that's what they've done all season long. Wally Buono knows it. Gene Gaines has no pressure on him right now. He's got a game. He's in a game that doesn't mean anything in the standings. He's just down by 7. He knows Kahari Jones will get back on track sooner or later, so just keep sending the pressure.
Bombers down by a touchdown, but winning the field position battle of the second half. O'Mahony into the breeze. Here's Charles Roberts. A little seam to the near side. Whoa! Huge collision down there as 2 Stampeders got in his way, including Aldi Henry, number 9, leading the Bombers in special teams tackles. Here you go, Glenn. This is what you love.
The safety and the backup safety. Hello.
Rock is
good. Is there another one?
We're saving it for Dave.
You can't resist Wendy's bacon mushroom melt with all that bacon and cheddar.
Hey, Dave, why don't you stay out a few more laps?
Okay.
Where's that sandwich?
Here, I hope no one ate my lunch.
When you gotta have one, you gotta have one.
Meet Max. Energizer Max. Introducing a new, powerful Energizer. Energizer Max. Now with the power inside to keep you going. And then some. Do you have the bunny inside?
Canadians have places to go, things to do, so they go Midas. Alignment, we do that. Air conditioning, we do that. Brakes, we do that. So for total car care by certified technicians, who does it all? Midas. We do that.
And a little more football ahead this weekend on TSN. The NFL Sunday Nighter, Jets at New Orleans. Chris Schultz likes the Saints. You may want to hedge your bets.
Risky business. He likes the Saints and the points. That's tough. I had to do that one year. That's not easy. I don't know how those guys that do the line, how they get it so close. I must have missed 20 games by 1 point. I'm serious.
Whoa. No one was home there. Greg Frères was the closest football player to the ball. Gordon was the intended receiver.
Well, Greg Frères will probably laugh about that when they watch it on the film, because he was the closest player, but he was still a few feet away. He kind of did that one just for that dive, just for a little show. Nothing wrong with that.
No, another miss by Kahari Jones there. And talk about just trying to turn the light switch on, which they have done here in Winnipeg to get the stadium illuminated. But you know, when you haven't played well, or you haven't played with a whole lot of pressure, it's difficult to get back into the game. Here's Jones, and again, no one is home. A Bomber receiver flattened near the 45. No penalties anywhere.
It was Arlen Bruce, and Ricky Bell was lying on top of them. The Bombers wanted pass interference, and I don't think they should have got it. I mean, it's a good no call by the officials, because Arlen Bruce comes down in motion. Watch how he comes down, and then he goes across the middle, but he'll slip and fall on his own right there on the cut. And then because he's falling down, Ricky Bell just lies down on top of him. Kahari Jones wants to go to Arlen Bruce over the middle. He slips and falls, but has to throw it anyway because of the sea of white jerseys that hit him in the mouth.
Here's the Sunshine Senior back in the game at the 40. Has to go high to bring that one down. Cameron's kick with the win.
Look out.
Yeah, footing is tough down there. Warren had nowhere to go. 46 on the punt by the veteran Cameron. No return. 19-12. Stamps hanging on to a 1-touchdown lead. Sure about so far this evening. But
she had to have some antifreeze in her because it's kind of chilly to be in short sleeves.
Play action fake. Crandall on first down. Oh! Cummings made the catch. Harold Nash went after the ball and just missed.
Well, he had a shot at it. He came downhill. Harold Nash was full speed trying to knock that football down, and he was playing the ball the entire way. It was just a matter of, did Marcus Crandall put enough heat on this fastball to get it there?
Well, he likely wouldn't have been able to get the interception, but he didn't miss knocking it down by much.
That's strike one.
15-yard gain is the result.
Inches.
Stampeders first down. Outside the 25. Crandall goes to the far side. Too far.
Boy, the
footing
is becoming more of a problem. I watched Mark Bolrichter there try and come out of his break. Vince Danielson as well on the far side, and they're really tippy-toeing now. And if you start tippy-toeing as a receiver, when you're trying to make a break, you get a chance as a defensive back to really jam the receiver. They tried to change up their shoes a couple of times throughout the warm-up process, but looks like the field is more wet now than it was at the beginning of the game.
2nd and 10, Stampeders. Crandall has a wide open target and a first down on the far side. Aubrey Cummings makes the catch. What's happened to the field here in Winnipeg? It was really quite cool yesterday, and today the temperature rose considerably, and it's basically like frost coming out of the ground.
Yeah, and it made it real slick, and that's why these receivers, I mean, that catch from Aubrey Cummings, he was really standing out there on the sideline. See, some guys went with sort of a tennis type of shoe, and that wasn't working, so they went with the sort of semi-cleats down there, and then some were even checking out some molded grass shoes to see if that would work. And right now the receivers are kind of tiptoeing around a little bit.
Cummings got 16. Crandall stands in, wide open man. Inside the 25, it's Danielson, or Bo Richter.
Bo Richter really didn't have to make a hard cut to get there. He just went to the outside, went then down the sideline, and look at him go down the sideline. See, here's a nice little rounded turn, and a drop coverage from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers left him wide open. Bolden realized late that that was his man and saved a touchdown.
A 45-yard gain for Mark Bo Richter sets the Stampeders up at the 22.
A bunch formation again.
Almost a reverse play, and it's well read by the Bomber defense.
During that bunch formation, 5 different receivers for the Calgary Stampeders have actually run the football out of that formation, and that's exactly what they did there. They basically run the same play where they go with Kelvin Anderson in the middle and the receivers to the outside. It limits you in your passing game when you have your receivers that tight to the offensive line, so George Cortez knows that it's more of a running formation for him, but they've used it all season long.
Now they spread it out again on 2nd and 12. Stamps definitely in McLaughlin's field goal range. One more chance here. Nice defensive play. There's the ex-Stampeder Marvin Coleman, an All-Canadian in Calgary last year, signed as a free agent in Winnipeg this season.
Well, because Marcus Crandall was holding on to the football, see, he wants to go to the left side here. First guy's covered down the seam. That's Vince Danielson. So now he has to reload, and that ball took a long time to get out there. It gave Marvin Coleman a time to come downhill there and knock it away. He's, by the way, the best pool player in the Bombers secondary.
Oh, and you were out at the pool hall yesterday, weren't you?
I hung out with the guys for a while from the Bombers secondary, and real tight group of guys, and Marvin Coleman's the best pool player.
Mark McLaughlin, 4 for 4, now 5 for 5 as the Stampeders settle for another field goal, but increase the lead to 10, 22-12.
And we will be breaking down that for you on SportsCenter all week long leading up to the big game.
Charles Roberts breaking one, taking it to the house, not quite. He's inside the 50, instant field position for the Bombers. Also Grey Cup week. That guy might be on the stage.
Wow, we
CFL Player Awards for Chrysler.
We'll also bring the awards to you on TSN, and who knows, maybe Charles Roberts will be up there on the podium as the outstanding rookie in the Canadian Football League. He finds a little hole, nice little cut there, and you don't get your hands on that guy. He's tough to grab.
Return, first down Winnipeg, just inside the 50. And here's Roberts from the backfield. He's exciting to watch. He's taken a couple all the way back on punt returns this season.
This is a couple of weeks ago versus the BC Lions. 58 yards, little move there, he's gone. That was the play for Winnipeg that really put them over the top. They won that game versus BC. And then, of course, Charles Roberts missed last week.
But he's back tonight. 20-yard pickup there, and it's Roberts again, the left side. Alondra Johnson had enough.
Alondra
fires him down.
This, you know, we always talk about scrape. You'll hear that term often from guys in the booth, and linebackers, how they scrape to the run, and you're going to see Alondra Johnson scrape over here. This is what it means basically. You just scrape down the line of scrimmage, you're scraping to the run, and And then once you scrape over there, then you just throw that right arm around Charles Roberts' neck. Scrape, scrape, scrap.
Stampeders lead by 10. Bombers threatening to close in a little bit on 2nd and 9. Here's Jones in the sights of Johnson. Johnson got there. Jones got away, but he's short of the first down.
Hey, again, the coverage downfield, John, was unbelievable. Like, there was not an open Bomber receiver to be found for Kahari Jones. He had time. He got outside, and he couldn't throw the ball. He had no one to throw to. Little move out here with a wet field. Little spin move on Alondra Johnson.
31-yard field goal try. Kahari Jones will put it down for Troy Westwood. 1 for 1 from the 17 earlier tonight. He's got that one too. Bombers are back within a touchdown. Stampeders have a lot of work ahead of them yet.
Yeah, but you keep the Bombers hanging around, though, it's not what you want, because you think of the Calgary Stampeders, who need this game desperately. You get up a couple of touchdowns on the Bombers, you hope that they sort of, you know, say, okay, that's good for this one. Let's wait till next week or 2 weeks from now when it means something, right? But Wally Buono's not been able to do that. Bombers keep hanging around.
Well, Buono's been through this situation on the reverse end a time or two.
Yeah.
As the coach of the Stampeders, when Calgary had great seasons and clinched first place or their place in the playoffs with time to spare. So he knows exactly what Richie is trying to do with his team tonight, and that's get them motivated and ready to play this game and be ready for the Eastern Final. Peterson made the catch. Helmets roll down there. Thomas Ram lost his lid.
Yeah, you just mentioned Wally Buono being in Dave Ritchie's position. He's not been in the position he's in right now. No. At all. I
mean,
ever
as a head coach.
That's right. I mean, worst record since 1988. Of course, Wally's first year was 1990. This is his 12th season. 8 of 11 seasons so far in first place in the West. So he doesn't know what it's like to battle for a playoff spot the last week of the regular season.
Looking for his 147th victory tonight, which would tie Frank Clare for second place all time. Here's Crandall. Chance to make something happen. He'll come short of the first down by a couple of yards. Nash got over to help with the tackle, along with Wayne Weathers.
Well, it must be tempting right now for Wally Buono, but you know, the move here is to punt the football.
3rd and 2.
Well, yeah,
I mean, it's a long yard anyway.
He looked at it for a second, but it's definitely in 22-15 game. Field position so important, so put your punt team out there.
Yeah, with a couple of plays here, the Stampeders have regained some of the field position that they lost to Winnipeg, although they have given up 3 points.
Now, the only problem is number 1's back there ready to catch the punt.
Yeah. Number 1 being Charles Roberts, who's been spectacular again tonight.
Kick it out of bounds.
Duncan O'Mahony into the breeze. No, this isn't good. Except that Roberts has to come a long way to field it. And maybe that'll work out for the Stampeders special teams. It's not all that bad.
No, he got a nice roll.
Yeah. Got the roll. It's Calgary leading Winnipeg on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Jones and the Blue Bombers first down just inside the Winnipeg 40, looking deep for Gordon. Got his fingertips on it, but the coverage was too tight. Malvo was there.
Yeah, mistake too, though, John. I think Gordon and Marcus Howell in the same place, like exactly the same place. And this should never happen. They're discussing it on the way back. What Kahari Jones wanted was to go to Robert Gordon on a little double move here. Put on the brakes, a little move to the outside, see if he can't get in behind Kelly Malvo, but look to the left. There's Marcus Howell right beside him. And with the field 65 yards wide, you don't want 2 receivers standing shoulder to shoulder.
Absolutely correct. 2nd and 10, Bombers. Kahari Jones, wide open man far side. It's Arlan Bruce, the 3rd.
William Fields slipped on the play, John. He tried to turn his hips and come back to that play because it took a long time for the ball to get out there, and he slipped on the turf. And again, that becoming a factor in this game. as players continue to sort of tippy-toe on their cuts. The ball took a whole long time to get out there, and you're going to see William Fields kind of down on his hands, and right there, he slips down, doesn't have a chance to get up and make the tackle even.
28-yard gain, setting the Bombers up inside the 45. There's Charles Roberts, and almost a first down. In fact, he's very, very close. He'll likely get it on a decent spot here. And the O-line had a pretty good path cleared for Roberts there.
John, running the football so important for Winnipeg. You see the great blocking up front. It allows that offensive line to tee off on the defensive line, and it's been important for Winnipeg. Even though Kahari Jones puts up impressive passing numbers, look what happens when they win. 121.5 rushing. 3 losses, it's dropped to 75.3. Big difference.
Roberts had the first down in the previous play, escaped there, and Joe Fleming had enough of that and fired him back. "19 seconds remaining in the third quarter."
I mentioned they had 121 yards rushing in their wins, in their 14 wins during the season. Well, they've only have 44 tonight. Roberts doing all right in the all-purpose yards, but not out of the backfield so far. Got 161 yards in kickoff return.
There you go. Yeah. Second down. Last play of the quarter. Picked up. Third interception of the night. First for Kelly Malvo. First of the season for Malvo. Freres had one earlier. Malvo comes up with one here. It will
Calgary, and yet it's close.
Too many field goals. Byron Capers was covering on Bo Richter. And quickly the Stampeders are set to kick it away.
It's funny because, you know, when you talk about the footing and when the turf, either it's grass or here an artificial turf, when it becomes slippery, you think it's the advantage of the offensive guy because he knows where he's going and the defense has to wait and react. But so far, I think we've seen it the opposite in this game tonight. That seems to me the receivers are having problems coming out of their breaks, and that's giving the defensive backs a chance to catch up to the football.
O'Mahony is in to punt it away for Calgary. Charles Roberts waits. It's not a deep kick, and Roberts has some room to roam on the near side. Well covered by Willie Fells, who dragged him down. Calgary leading by 7. A return of 8 right there. Lots more ahead, live from Winnipeg. Blue Bombers playing their final home game of the regular season. 2 weeks from now, they'll host the Eastern Final. And
what do you think of my nominees for these two teams? And when you look at the outstanding player, we talked about Kahari Jones. Kelvin Anderson, to me, is a lock for the Calgary Stampeders.
I don't mind Jones there.
McNeil, outstanding Canadian.
Yeah.
Apparently, Jay McNeil's had a great year.
And I give you credit there for not going with the safety from Simon Fraser for Calgary. Greg Freres showing your unbiased nature. Jones got it away. Roberts is down.
Yeah, there's your rookie nominee for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And then, you know, you got Antonio Warren. Of course, Joe Fleming on defense. And he's going to be in tough, I think, this year with, you know, when you look at defensive players like Barron Simpson in the West and Edmonton Eskimos of Singor Mobley and Terry Ray.
Tough to beat Bolden in the performance he's put on.
Oh, yeah. And then,
season.
you know, he's in tough against probably, you know, Joe Mumford in Hamilton.
And then the rookie returners, Warren and Roberts.
Yeah, and
not too much to argue with you about there.
You like my picks?
I like your picks.
All right.
Kahari Jones near side, and he's having a night, isn't he? Arlen Bruce, the third, makes another reception. Has a touchdown on the evening so far, and the Bombers are right back in it.
Let's take a look and see if Arlen Bruce has problems with the cut. Here, William Fields turns his hips. He thinks he's going deep. That's a pretty good turn. You know, and Arlen Bruce was deliberate with it. In other words, he really chopped his feet. He was deliberate in the turn and came back to the ball, and that's going to be the key. He knew he had turned William Fields and had Fields thinking of a deep pattern. So he had time to do that.
Well short of the first down, however, for the Blue Bombers. So on third down, Cameron is in, stepping across midfield to get this one away. A one-hopper, make it a two-hopper. Make it almost a dead ball. Fall on it. Wade Miller leading the Bomber tacklers down there along with Brian Clark. So here's Marcus Crandall. All on the line here. 12:28 to go. Stamps on top
For 48.
by a touchdown.
First down.
So they get Clark within that 5-yard area.
It was interesting last week for the Calgary Stampeders against BC. They pulled out Marcus Crandall. Wally Buono decided to go with Barnes instead of Ben Sankey. Barnes had a rough ride against the BC Lions.
Sacked 3 times.
But obviously, Wally Buono with this game and the importance of it is going to stick with Crandall.
Yeah, and this is an important drive for the Stampeders, pinned deep in their own zone. Crandall elusive. He won't get to first down territory, but positive yards. Well, only 3 when you really look at it from the right angle.
You know, that was a very interesting situation when you think last week they threw in Pat Barnes. And here's what happened to Barnes. It was
cringe.
That's the first play he had. And then it got, you know, worse from there. There's the next play. It was just, and here's the next play after that. And
coming from all directions.
In 4 or 5 plays, Barnes had been hit 4 or 5 times.
Crandall going deep. Bo Richter can't get in behind the coverage.
Now, and I asked Wally Buono about it because Ben Sankey is the backup quarterback.
Now, that's not a cast he's wearing. That's a turtleneck.
Yeah,
Barnes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see them both there with the coats on. Ben Sankey is got the chart, right? Okay, now he is the backup. Last week they put Barnes in because Wally Buono felt that if something happened to Marcus Crandall, then they need both to see a few reps. But those weren't the kind of reps that Pat Barnes wants to see in that game. There's Marcus Crandall there with the clipboard. He is the backup.
Sankey there.
Oh, excuse me,
Sankey
Ben Sankey with the clipboard. Marcus Crandall's the starter. There you go.
O'Mani gave up a couple earlier, but he'll kick it this time with the breeze. Charles Roberts misplayed it, so the Stampeders had a bit of a break here. It's a loose ball. I think he did touch it. And Roberts was lucky to get back and pick it up again. 1st and 10 Winnipeg when we return. 11:01 to go.
Hit right there on Charles Roberts. How about Double D, Dave Donaldson? Again, there's Aldi Henry and Greg Frères. And that's what Dave Ritchie doesn't want to see too much of tonight. His star quarterback can hit like that.
Bombers looking at 1st and 10. Just inside the 45. Kahari Jones.
Threw it away.
Can't find anyone. And he's down again. Joe Fleming was in the neighborhood.
Officials took a glance over there to see if there was a receiver nearby because I don't think the ball crossed the line of scrimmage.
Well, it was close anyway.
And Robert Gordon was only about 4 yards away, so he gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Again, Stampeders grab a playoff spot if they can hang on for a victory here tonight.
Comes Alondra Johnson.
2nd and 10. Oh, this guy has made great catches all night. It's Arland Bruce the third. Tough to bring down. He's got the Bombers inside the Stampeder 30.
Oh, he had to turn back over the middle. There was a lot of heat on that ball from Kahari Jones. He's going to come right over here. Watch Arland Bruce have to go back behind him to catch this one with his hands because it's overthrown. And that's a tough catch. What makes it even tougher is that it's right over the middle, and that's in an area where you're usually going to get tattooed by somebody, either a linebacker or your free safety. Another big catch from Arland Bruce.
38 yards. Bombers are inside the Stampeder 30. Bruce has 6 catches tonight. Jones can't get it away. James Cotton, number 99. Got to Kahari Jones that time. Cotton has been making his presence felt here tonight.
Well, yeah, and he had 8 sacks coming in. And Cotton, watch Cotton on this one. I mean, he treats Kahari Jones like he doesn't really like him.
8 sacks on the season coming in. There's number 9 for James Cotton. Loss is 8. This is 2nd and 18. Jones stands in. Will he get a chance to get it away? Not this time. Safely out of bounds.
Well, there's one thing about this play that I find a little interesting, and that is that on 2nd and 18, the Bombers decide to go with play action, and I think it's safe to say that the defense on 2nd and 18 is not going to think you're going to run the draw play. So I'll have to mention that one to Rick Warman, because of course he was a former teammate of mine in Saskatchewan, so I can have a little fun with Rick Warman on that one.
So you've read Football for Dummies, have you?
I could say, okay, come on, 2nd and 18. Who are you trying to fool with that little play action thing? And he has done a nice job with this offense here in Winnipeg.
Here's Westwood. 42-yard try.
Oh.
He slips. It's a knuckler. Warren gets it out of the end zone. Good decision to run it out. He makes a play and another one. And the kicker got him. That'll be embarrassing in the highlight reel.
Well, that's the footing again. One more time.
No, I wasn't talking about the slip. I was talking the kicker running you out of bounds.
Okay. Watch the slip. Flat foot just never has a chance.
Kickers really are a different breed, aren't they?
Well, yeah.
What's Troy Westwood got on his foot down there? A little warmy booty?
That's the Westwood booty right there. Keeping that kicking foot warm.
Yeah, it was just a second or two ago he landed on his bummy, though.
Landed on his other booty.
Kelvin Anderson on first down. Huge play for the Stampeders. Anderson breaks one. It'll be a Calgary first down. And all of a sudden, the Stampeders are out across the 45. Tonight's game story brought to you by Sport Check, Canada's choice for sporting goods.
Well, it's been a good night for Mark McLaughlin, 5 of 5. But if you ask Wally Buono, he would wish that was 5 touchdowns. Think of what the score would be then for Calgary. Crandall's had a nice night. How about Arlan Bruce? A couple of big catches.
Yeah.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
And Danielson made some superb catches for the Stampeders in the early going.
That last one, very telling. Just 6 points off 4 Winnipeg turnovers tonight for Calgary.
Anderson picked up 13 on his previous carry. He's not going anywhere this time.
You know, John, when you look at that turnover thing, I think it's worth mentioning one more time is that, you know, Winnipeg turns the ball over 4 times in this game tonight. And Calgary gets just 6 points out of the turnovers. You know, and when you're Winnipeg Blue Bombers, this year during the season, they turned the ball over 49 times, scored 157 points off those turnovers. That's why they won 14 games. And Calgary hasn't done that tonight, and they're hanging on.
These seasons for these two teams, almost a reverse of 2000, where the Bombers lost a lot of close games. Tipped down at the line.
McGriggs.
Lamar McGriggs has made some plays this evening.
Got his hand on that one.
Bombers are here tonight looking to regain the swagger of that 12-game win streak and go into the playoffs on a winning note rather than a 2-game losing streak. I mean, this team will lose a little confidence if it loses another one here tonight.
Yeah, you know, that's a very important point, the confidence level of the team. And at this level in pro football, you know, the difference between winning and losing is such a fine line, and that confidence and the team playing together at the right time is the big difference. And they need that back.
Duncan O'Mahony, pretty good kick this time. Arlan Bruce, look out, away from one. Oh, Alejandro just about took his head off. He ducked at the right time. Well, when we're done here, we'll send you back to Sports Center. Dutchie and Duthie will have all the stories, scores and highlights, previews to wrap up a day in sports. Will the highlights include the Bombers' 15th victory of the season or the Stampeders' win here tonight to clinch a playoff spot? We're 6 minutes and 18 seconds away from knowing that. Kahari Jones missed his target. It was actually tossed behind his intended receiver, Andre Arlay. And Cotton was through to put the heat on Jones. He's taken a few hits tonight, no question.
There's Cotton again. He's on that end, and he has had a good night. You see the offensive line slides the opposite way, and they leave Cotton in a one-on-one with Eric Blunt, the running back, and you know James Cotton would love that matchup every single time. 250 against 200.
2nd and 10. Marcus Howell made the catch. Johnson was there and limited the gain, so there won't be a first down.
Well, I think, you know, if Calgary can hang on and win this game, they'll look to their defense and they'll thank them for it, because, you know, Kahari Jones all season long has put up some pretty impressive numbers, and right now Mike Roach has this defense pumped up. They've made plays. We talked about the turnovers being the key for the Calgary Stampeders. They've been a big factor in this game. They needed to turn the ball over. They've done that. You know, they came in with a -11 rating in the giveaway takeaways. They only had 12 interceptions. They have 3 tonight.
Stampeders will gain a little advantage in field position here. Sonia Warren, not much of a return. Still positive yards. 1st and 10 Calgary near the 50 when we return with 5:16 to go. Down Calgary. Nice play action fake by Crandall. He's got a target, and he missed by about 15 yards, hooking up with Aubrey Cummings.
Yeah, and that's a ball that Marcus Crandall wants back, because Cummings was in behind the coverage of Harold Nash. Now Nash came off it because he saw the ball was thrown so far away from him, but it's tough to get the receivers out into the patterns in that bunch formation that the Calgary Stampeders run.
Here's good news for the Stampeders. When leading after 3 quarters, they are unbeaten, 7 wins. However, 4:47 remaining. Stamps are in a playoff game already tonight. Peterson couldn't make the catch.
And Peterson was, if he did make the catch, was looking at Antonio Armstrong and Harold Nash and a whole bunch of other Winnipeg tacklers.
Calgary number 89, decline, 3rd down.
And it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
So Bo Richter got a head start. Calgary will kick it away. Lots of time for a Bomber comeback.
Plenty of time. It's again the defense keeping them in it. You know, and it should be said that the Winnipeg defense did not play all that poorly against the Toronto Argonauts in that loss.
No, it was an offensive problem.
Yeah.
A power failure at Skydome last week, too, for Winnipeg. Lamanti's kick sails down to the 15. It's Charles Roberts returning again. Slipped out there. Regained his footing. And he's out across the 25 to the 27. 14 on the return. On the line tonight, a playoff spot for the Stampeders, guaranteed with a Calgary win.
If they lose this game, if Calgary loses this game, the Argonauts play Hamilton. They have a chance now to take Calgary and knock them right out of the playoffs. And that's that crossover.
With a win over Hamilton tomorrow.
That's right. Now, yeah, and I'm not saying that that's a given, but the bottom line is they take control then of their destiny. And you heard the guys talk about it at halftime, the crossover format. I love it.
Oh, it's terrific. I mean, that's kept the excitement in the final 3 weeks of the season as Blunt takes out. Without the crossover possibility, East coming west or west going east, but this year East coming west, all of the playoff positions in the CFL would have been decided 2 weeks ago.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, not necessarily where the team finished,
what
but
position.
The playoff teams would have been known.
Well, in '97, it happened when the Lions went over to Montreal, played that game, and the first time it ever happened in a crossover format that was similar to the current crossover format was 1986. Calgary, when there was 4 teams in the West, made the playoffs, and only 2 in the East that year.
2nd and 2, and Blood has problems. He won't get the first down. Play developed a little bit slowly, and Fells was there to greet Eric Blunt.
I have to punt the football.
Three minutes to go. Bombers and the Stampeders not done yet. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, our final edition for 2001.
for the final one. What do you think?
Well, speak for yourself.
We're in the dome then anyway. It's not quite as cold.
Camille Loud on the return, but a penalty marker comes down. 2:50 to go. All on the line for the Calgary Stampeders. The playoffs began for Calgary about 2.5 hours ago. They have to win tonight to guarantee a spot in the playoffs.
I would say 3 or 4 times this year, the Calgary Stampeders have been in this exact position. With the lead, under 3 minutes to play, with the football, and a chance, if they drive the field, put some points on the board, they can ice it. They haven't been able to get it done. You think back to that Hamilton game, Ben Sankey had the same opportunity, couldn't put a drive together. The Ticats won the game.
Penalty against the Bombers on the return, setting Calgary up at the 50. Pitch to Kelvin Anderson. Good call. Anderson is running well in the second half. He's across midfield and most of the way to a first down, a gain of 6.
Well, that's 6 the hard way for Kelvin Anderson. I mean, this is as tough a run as you're going to see. Not spectacular. Watch Kelvin Anderson get up there, hit 1 there, 2 there, hit 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hits, 9, and then thrown to the ground.
Yeah, and his last carry, he took it 13 yards and got Calgary out of a deep hole.
6 yards, 9 hits.
2nd and 4, Stampeders.
Oh, there you go. Pound it in there. Pound it up in there.
He's a little short.
I think they're going to mark it right on the 50-yard line, which would be, you know, about half a yard short. You know, the footing, again, is a big factor when you're trying to decide whether or not to gamble on 3rd down. You know, if your running back or even your quarterback on a sneak slips, trying to take off into that line, you have no shot of getting the first down.
Yeah. So here you go, 3rd down, less than a yard to go.
This
and
is big.
It didn't take long to make the decision. Calgary will go for it.
This is big. #1 defense against the run right here.
Will the gamble pay off for the Stampeders? No flags, and they should have the first down. Randall straight ahead.
Oh, it's going to be close, John. You know, I thought Crandall was over the top and had, with his forward progress, plenty of yardage for the first down.
But now they've peeled a few players off the pile.
And they put it just over the 50-yard line, which is exactly where that first down marker is. They're going to have to bring the sticks out and take a look at it, and I don't know. This is so close.
On first glance, I thought he had the momentum, but I don't know if he didn't get a great spot down there, but he may not have had enough for the first down. What a way to turn the ball over to the Bombers if Calgary comes up short here.
We could get Brian Clark and Marvin. They didn't get it. They didn't get it.
No, they're inches short. Turnover. Bombers ball.
Oh, boy. You know, John, I agree with you. I thought Marcus Crandall in his initial surge, he got forward progress and got that first down.
Yeah, Chopper, roll it again. Give us another look.
Talking about Paul Hemming, our director.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's see if he gets this now. He's got to get well over that line. I thought that surge put him about a yard over, but then he starts getting pushed back a little bit. There's the line. He needs about a half yard more than that line. Let's see the surge. That's tough to see in that shot, but you can see him in there in the middle of it getting pushed back after the fact.
Here's the Bombers' chance for the win of the tie. First try for Kahari Jones. And he misses Arlam Bruce III.
Now, of course, the second guessers will say that had Wally Buono punted there, now he's forcing Kahari Jones with under 2 minutes to drive 80, 90 yards rather than 50 yards or 60 yards right now that he has to go because they didn't get that first down. Now, I'm not second guessing it. I like the call.
You have never second guessed in your life, have you?
No, I like the call. I really do. A half yard, you got to go.
2nd and 10 Bombers. Inside the Winnipeg 50, still a long way to go with 1:53 remaining. Jones, and he lost a receiver to the slippery field. Stoddard was the closest Bomber to it.
Now they got
one receiver fell down.
And now Kahari Jones has no choice but to go on 3rd down. Well, you know what?
Maybe not.
Yeah, Dave Ritchie is sending the punt team on. I mean, you know he's got confidence in his defense, and that's the only reason I could say that he's going to do this at this point. With 1:40 left, you're down, but you have to score a major.
Well, keep in mind, this game is not as important to the Bombers as it is to the Stampeders.
Which is why wouldn't you gamble then?
34
on third down.
There you go, second guessing again. Cameron's kick. Warren Ball. Held on, however.
Fumbled the ball.
And 1:41 remains. Stampeders on top, 22-15.
Well, that was very close for Antonio Warren of handing the ball right back to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Trying to slide underneath that football, bounces up off his chest. And,
well, there's no penalty marker down, so have a look.
And the ball bounces around a little bit.
Woohoo!
Brian Clark makes a tackle. Very close to handing it back over to the Bombers.
Into the final, 1:41 here. Stampeders lead it by a touchdown. Critical game for the Stampeders' playoff hopes.
Dave Ritchie relying on his defense. He wants a quick 2-and-out. And, you know, they're going to call their timeout now. Tom Europe quickly moves to the official to call the timeout. So Ritchie, by not gambling on 3rd and 10, relying on his defense now to get the quick 2-and-out and a punt. Now, if you get a good punt from Duncan O'Mahony, you're looking at losing, say, 10 yards from your original field position. And now you're probably looking at 1:20 left in the game. But that's all predicated on the fact that his defense has to stop right here on 2nd down.
Marcus Crandall in the second half, 5 of 14 for 91 yards. He had a very solid first half, over 200 yards.
Who do you go to now? Travis Moore, obviously no longer in the lineup for the Calgary Stampeders. Mark Boerichter's been very quiet. If you're Marcus Crandall, you know, how do you get 32 involved? Kelvin Anderson, that's the question.
Well, maybe a screen. What do you think? 2nd down and 9.
Probably not bad. Ibtukara.
Yeah. And he almost tipped it into the hands of Jerron Bolden.
I believe that's the first pass Crandall has gone to Ibtukara. And, you know, again, in a crucial situation in the game, a first down that can ice it for you.
Yeah, he's colder than a mackerel coming off the bench.
Yeah, and that is, you know, been the problem for the Stampeders. Now, obviously, they have the lead, and I'm not saying they won't hang on to this lead, but that's not the play that Wally Buono wanted, or at least not the receiver he wanted to be the target.
Duncan O'Mahony. Pretty good kick. Roberts bobbles it. Better get it out of bounds. He stepped out at the 40-yard line.
Again, 10 yards difference. So Dave Ritchie relies on a defense, doesn't gamble on 3rd down, and now it's a difference of 10 yards in field position and about 15 seconds off the clock. So his decision was the right one. And I wasn't second guessing.
No, and you hardly ever do.
Well, I try not to. It's just not right.
Okay, here's the Bombers' final drive. Can Winnipeg march it for a touchdown and get even with Calgary? Kahari Jones, quarterback draw, linking run all the way, and he's got a first down.
You think they want to win this game? You think they want to win, though? That's a play, if you don't care about winning this game, that's a play you never call. Kahari Jones on a quarterback draw. Because you know he's going to get hit on that play.
Marcus Howell, wide receiver near side. Kahari Jones with time and a target. Missed him. Looking for Arlen Bruce. Why not? He's been hot all night.
And Kahari Jones just didn't get it out there to him. Didn't put enough on that throw. Now here, I'm just going to throw this out. 1:05. Should the Winnipeg Blue Bombers drive, get down in here, and score a touchdown, You're Dave Ritchie. This game means nothing in the standings. Do you go for 2?
Well, 2
try and win in
really
regulation.
hurts the Stampeders because a tie gives Calgary a point.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And it could be a very important point to decide the playoff spot.
Well, I wonder.
2nd and 10 Bombers. Jones over the middle. Picked off. What an interception by William Fields. Stampeders are going to the playoffs, folks, with 55 seconds left. 2nd interception of the night for William Fields.
We thought it'd be a key to this game. The Calgary Stampeders had to come up with some big plays from their secondary.
First one was a lot easier for Fields than this one.
Greg Frères has an interception. Kelly Malville an interception. And William Fields has his 2nd, the biggest of the game for the Calgary Stampeders. And he's working on the #1 target tonight for Kahari Jones. Arlan Bruce III cuts underneath him, takes that football, and Wally Buono has some big plays out of his secondary, and he's pretty pumped up about it. I guess so.
The V for victory from Wally Buono. Still 55 seconds on the clock. Stampeders.
Was that a smile?
It was almost.
Okay.
It was just a little upturn around the corners of his mouth. 55 seconds left. And Crandall didn't like what he saw. He really went down on his own.
Well, you remember Tom Europe already called the Bomber timeout in the 2nd half, so they can't stop the clock with the timeout again. But I'm not so sure that the Calgary Stampeders want to just lose another 6-7 yards and have to punt it again. Because as long as there's about 30 seconds on the clock in Canadian football, there's a chance.
Oh, still a chance, but I mean, you've got control of the football. You're inside the Winnipeg 40. You shouldn't blow this lead that you've got right now.
I'll just drive it up in there now.
I mean, you can punt it through the end zone.
So they're going to
kick a field goal.
Well, Calgary will have 20 seconds right now, you know, on the clock. There's only 29 seconds left in the game. So basically, you send your field goal team out there.
Yeah, here comes McLaughlin. Final game in his hometown, playing at Sisler High School, growing up in Winnipeg, and he's been a Calgary Stampeder, although he grew up a Blue Bomber fan. Mark McLaughlin.
Well, he's not a fan of them right now.
Hasn't been for a while.
No.
Although this is hometown for McLaughlin. He's had a great night.
You know, and I'm wondering if McLaughlin's, they're going to let this time go right down to nothing. They're going to take the penalty. And now there's just 10 seconds left in the game. They stopped the clock. Now, as Mark McLaughlin may be in there to try and angle this one out and directional kick it rather than try the long field goal that could be returned if should he miss. This is a long field goal attempt on a wet ground.
And we saw Westwood land on his backside trying to kick one earlier.
That's right. You know, and now instead of Marvin Coleman back there, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers go with Charles Roberts, who comes in the game late. So Dave Ritchie gets a bit of a break that Calgary calls that timeout so he can make that change. And now if McLaughlin attempts the field goal here and misses, they've got Charles Roberts back there to run it out. And remember, offensive linemen cover missed field goals.
Slippery turf, a 43-yard try for McLaughlin to preserve the win. He's 5 for 5 on the Knights.
Missed it.
Missed that one.
Here he comes.
And here's Roberts, ready to return.
Watch out.
Oh, baby. Not this time. But it opened up a little bit there on the final play of the game.
They got a playoff spot. The Calgary Stampeders
guaranteed third.
You know what? They showed up to play. Wally Buono ties Frank Clare with 147 wins in the regular season.
And the Bombers did look rusty. I mean, Kahari Jones struggled in the second half in particular. One for his last 7 passes, and Buono's in the playoffs again.
But Winnipeg gets Milt Stegall back for that playoff game, and Wally Buono is just happy with the fact that he's got that playoff spot. So, you know, I don't think there's any concern for Dave Ritchie. They get Milt Stegall back. That will open up their offense in a huge way, and they'll be fine in Eddie's fun.
So what are you doing next Friday night?
Gee, I don't know.
We'll have to make plans. That's it for Wendy's Friday Night Football for 2001. It's been a lot of fun the last 18 weeks.
Hang around a stadium, I guess. I don't know.
Go to a ball game somewhere. I don't know. Stamps win it. They're in the playoffs. 22-15 over the Blue Bombers.